by sharing the models in different countries, that we can generalize all those kinds of good examples and models and put it back to our locals to doing the engagement in the very first step. But after that, how to bridge up the gap between the youth, and the policymakers. We got a very good suggestion in the workshop that maybe in the IGF, there will be getting some kind of multi-stakeholder advisory group. Youth can definitely can join this kind of group to voice out our opinions in order to help the IGF to be more engageable to youth. It would be very good that youth from our point of view can share how we can think, how we can engage more peers to join this kind of discussion. And youth voice should not be negated. And the other things we have agree that is, although youth voice is very important, it will be very to have balance the views from different stakeholders. We really like to having different kind of dialogue with the policymakers, the private sectors, and also business people, in order to have a very good interaction and embracing the multi-stakeholder engagement in both IG's issues and how to share our ideas in such area. Thank you.
Before Boniface speaks, I'd like just to find out if the session is being live streamed, because we are getting questions from people who would be interested in this session remotely, but they seem to have a problem with getting onto the YouTube stream. So if you could assist us check on that, I'd really appreciate.
Thank you. As I stated, Afrinic Fire Award winner. For the benefit of everyone, Afrinic is the regional internet registry for Africa and the Indian Ocean. The Fire Award program is aimed to empower, to support innovations by youth in the field of internet, research, and education. As a beneficiary, basically my initiative was about providing open educational resources for kids, primary school kids. This is owing the Kenya's government dedication to provide one laptop per child in primary schools. So we felt that there was the need to provide content for the laptops, because without content on the laptops, a laptop just remains that, a toy. So we felt that we could work on producing high quality Creative Commons resources, put them in digital format and putting them online or in PDF format or wikis format, and then just to promote deeper learning and enhance capacity building in education and the integration of ICT into the education system in Kenya. As a fellow, I'm an ICANN 49 fellow in Singapore. For those of you who may not already know about the ICANN Fellowship, it basically aims to strengthen the youth participation in an internet governance ecosystem. Currently, the youth make up more than half of the world population. However, their voices are rarely heard when it comes to internet governance issues. So, as a way, we need to find a model that can foster interest among the youth. Because first of all, most youth are not aware of internet governance. So if we could reach out to them, because I believe there's a gap as far as information, access to information on internet governance is concerned. So we need to come up with strategies to reach out to the youth, to enlighten them about internet governance, just to help them foster interest in the internet governance matters. That would be the first step towards building capacities and helping in the creation of the next generation of leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Boniface. So you've heard about different experiences currently. We're just assessing the situation about the youth in this space. So we want to get more into the Youth Coalition. So how does the Youth Coalition support the ongoing, or how do we get to be supported by the ongoing initiatives? So I'd love to hear from David, who will give us a little bit of a background on the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance Charter, and yes, just a little bit. Thank you.
But to start with, I would like to maybe invite the four to briefly introduce yourself, and then we can know more about your background, and we can have a fruitful discussion on how we can engage different parties to make the Youth Coalition to be move forward, and how to re-energizing the youth participation in a sense. Because for the workshop yesterday we have just held, we got a very great mission on how we can make the true participation of youth in IG area. And how do we do so? We need your contribution. And that for the very first step, we really like you guys to join the YCIG. And we would like to discuss how we can work together to make the real participation of youth in IGF. And no matter in IGF and also in the other area of internet governance. Should we get the floor and the mic to be standby to pass the mic to the floor, that anyone who feel free to introduce themselves?
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. So, hello. My name is Wilson. Come from Net Mission Ambassadors from Hong Kong, and I'm here for the IGF mainly because for the youth sections and also the child internet safety.
This is Enoch from NetY Ambassadors from Hong Kong, and so we come here because we are the winners for an essay writing competition. So basically we write on issues about the internet governance, and our topic was on internet rumors.
Hello, my name is Agnes, and I'm also one of the NetY ambassadors from Hong Kong. Actually, we three are 12th graders, so yeah.
I'm Michael from Hong Kong. I'm teammate with them. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chris from Hong Kong. I'm a youth social worker, mainly focused on youth development job.
Hello, I'm Ann Collier. I'm not a youth, very obviously. I am with connectsafely.org, so I've been involved in the youth protection or child protection track here a lot. And I was late to the coalition session yesterday. I apologize. I had right before organized a workshop about digital citizenship featuring youth. No panel, just adults facilitating a conversation with young people. And I'm also very interested in increasing not just youth voice, but youth participation in IG. And would love to talk with you a little bit more later on about private sector involvement. We've learned a little bit in the past year, and I could tell you some of the challenges, at least in the United States, but I'll let everybody finish introducing themselves first.
Oh, just in time. Hi, my name is Joe Gattuso. I'm with the U.S. Department of Commerce. I am here actually sponsoring some other attendees, but I know Anne, and I've worked in this field with the Department of Commerce doing child online protection work. So it's still very an issue very near and dear to me.
Hi, my name is May. I'm from Thailand, from Ministry of ICT. Just come here to listen for your idea.
Hello, my name's Eli. I'm from the US, and I'm just here to kind of participate.
I'm Tel, and I'm from the Netherlands, Amsterdam, and I run a business, a grocery delivery business, which has not a lot to do with internet governance, but then I also work as a consultant for some big companies, helping them with their online issues and online strategy. So that's why I'm interested in internet governance, so that's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Pim. I'm with the NOIGF delegation, also from the Netherlands. And actually to speak further about your private sector question, in the Netherlands it's arranged like this. I and Nathan are sent by to the IGF by ECP, and that's a government organization, or actually a standalone organization who is funded 50% by government and 50% by private sector. So, well, that's how it works in the Netherlands, and it works quite well, I think.
Hi, my name is Nathan, also from the Netherlands, and I'm also with the NL-IGF youth delegation together with Pim. And also I want to, next year it's like more youths here, so that's the reason I'm here.
Yeah, thank you. I think although the setting of this room is just like a panel and with the floor, but we are not like the other panel discussion that we will just beat all the things. We really like the floor to be joining us for discussion, because it's mainly about the YCIG structure. We got a very high mission on sharing how we think about IG and how to engage more youth people in the sense of by collaboratively join those kinds of ideas from different people. We can think about how we can engage perfectly match the needs of youth in this kind of settings.
Yeah, because maybe as a starter, I'm interested in, like I elaborated a little bit how it works in the Netherlands. So we are with the NL-IGF, and we as youngsters we're just there, and we were with a group like of 20 youngsters who wanted to go here, and they selected 2. But maybe it's nice to tell from the different countries how it worked for you, how you came here, and maybe you can learn something from that. Okay. Yeah. So you asked how we got selected from the Netherlands. Well, it actually was like there is an NL-IGF and there are like 300 attendees or so, and not only youngsters but everyone goes there like a preparation for this meeting, and they asked someone who has a big youth network. Who pre-selected like 20 or 25 youngsters, and they came to the NL-IGF and participated in sessions. And well, there was like a jury of 4 or 5 people who went like several times to the IGF, who selected people who would well do well in sessions and would like to talk, etc. Yeah, who would like to participate. That's how it worked. But so my question stands: how did it work in like the US or in?
We aren't nearly as uniform and organized. We do have a US IGF. I haven't really participated in recent years. It's definitely all been adults. I actually was part of one session a few years ago that involved youth, but I kind of gave up on it. It was in Washington, and not particularly relevant to anything I was interested in the IGF, such as child protection and youth participation and citizenship and all of that. So the thing that's interesting in the IGF, and maybe Joe, I don't know if Joe has any input from the U.S. government. The U.S. government is vast, and multi-stakeholder in the U.S. means that IG participation is very grassroots. It's from the people, and which means that it's not very central or organized, and at least not where youth participation is concerned. And as Yanis knows, we tried to, we have never had youth participation from the U.S., and it's really because of budget reasons, money. So I co-direct a small NGO in Silicon Valley in California, and we are funded by large companies like Facebook and Google, and a large security company that's been participating this week, Trend Micro, and they support our organization and our work, but they don't. They are very Washington-facing. they have different budgets. They're huge too, right? These companies, so they kind of have international work. So, for example, Facebook and Twitter have all of their international work is based in India, I think in Bangalore or Hyderabad, and Dublin in Europe. I don't know if they have big offices in other countries. They've just developed, for example, Facebook has been in Australia for a while. Twitter just, started a new position in Australia, just for example. So it's very dispersed, and what these companies, it's so hard to explain all this, and you can't generalize because each company is quite unique in the way it approaches policy and child protection, which seems to be where youth participation is placed in the framework, in the policy parts of these companies. But so the reason why it's difficult to get funding to bring youth from the United States to IGF is because the funds that are dedicated to our work are about lobbying on Capitol Hill, about educating lawmakers and policymakers in the United States, which is a very high priority for them because they don't want a lot of regulation, right? And their international budgets don't help us. They don't fund our work. So when we approached Microsoft, because Microsoft has a big presence at IGF, we thought, oh, Microsoft will help us get some U.S. youth to the ICANN meeting in Beijing. Yanis, when was that? About 2 years ago? And so we thought, that's perfect. Microsoft will really like to fund that because they have participated in our work at IGF in recent years. But either their budget was dedicated to other things by then, or they didn't feel comfortable about an international project at that time that wasn't pre-planned. So that funding didn't happen, and we'll continue to try to work with U.S. companies to bring U.S. youth to IGF. We feel that's a very important project, but we're not sure that that is the best approach to take, and we're trying to talk with people in the U.S. State Department and other entities within the U.S. government to see if there's interest in developing a fellowship or something like that. But it's all very sort of big and complex, and we have to learn the various layers of policy and structure involved. So there are challenges, and I'd be very interested in hearing how people in other countries get funding and generate interest, and that's why I was asking about Dutch youth. So thanks so much for listening to all of this. Is anybody else?
Thank you. After he's done, I would love to hear from some people in the back who haven't said hi to us. Yeah, just to introduce themselves, and then we continue.
It's on? Yes. Good morning. My name is Jarosław Ponder, and I'm the Senior Strategy and Policy Advisor at the ITU, as well as the Director for the Europe region in the International Telecommunication Union. I don't know if you would allow me to, after this introduction already, to say a few words. From our perspective as the ITU Secretariat and our top management, the voice of the young people is key. And during the meetings of our memberships, this is the new wave which we observe, where the member states as well as the sector members of private sector is advocating strongly on creating the interfaces for the young people to be part of the decision-making processes. This is the reason why the Beyond Summit last year has taken place with the leadership of the Costa Rica, but very strongly supported by the all management as well as the all membership. And this paved the way towards the next step of creating the internships, of voicing the proposals to be injected and proposed at the Plenipotentiary Conference, which is the highest legal body of the ITU, in order to express what is the concern of the young people. And this makes us really proud, because through the crowdsourcing platform, just now with the strong support of different countries, including the Costa Rica, we are able to, for the first time in the history, to produce the document which will be discussed and debated at the formal conference. So therefore, I think the more we are doing in this direction, the better it will be reflected not only in the ITU, which is the key UN agency for the ICTs, but also in other sister agencies, because we are creating the mechanisms which can be further developed and duplicated. On the other hand, also, it's not only about the contributing to the decision-making processes, but also to making sure that at the level of the countries, there is the good understanding of the challenge, of the involvement of the young people in the decision-making processes, and addressing the key challenges, including the gender balance and empowering the young girls and women to be involved more in the ICT sector. And this is the reason why we are trying to motivate all those who can make the change at the national level to create the role models and to make sure that much more of the young women, for example, are interested in being part of the ICT debate. In addition, we have this different regional initiative, and this is good sign. This is for the first time when on the agenda of the development conference, the challenges of the young people, like employment, entrepreneurship, came on the agenda and were reflected in the framework of the regional initiatives, which are focused on the action, on the real projects and generation of the real change. So from this point of view, I believe that there is a lot what could be done. Of course, the participation is always very challenging, and it's not only a lot of efforts on the side of the organizers of any kind of the events, but also this is something what we are always underlining that the young people have also plenty of different opportunities to see and the program well in advance how to get the funding, because the organizations are interested in engaging. So sometimes it's very pragmatic approach. The recommendation letter is enough in order to get already the funding at the national level. The last point and the message what I wanted to say is the ITU is the multi-stakeholder organization with the strong partnership and collaboration with the private sector, and we are thankful to the private sector for taking the youth as the also top priority for them, because these are the young generations which will be building the capacities of those enterprises. And therefore, on the annual basis at the telecom of the ITU, we have the Young Innovators Competition, where all young people are invited to post and to submit their proposals and their projects. And then those who are winning, they are invited to present at the global forum where we are dealing with the CEOs of the biggest companies of the world, of the telecom and the ICT industry. So those who are interested in collaboration, we are encouraging you to contact us and to exhaust the maximum all offerings, and this is what we are doing for the young people with the best benefit for you. Thank you very much.
For the other newcomers, you can just briefly introduce yourself. Maybe we got Jonathan.
My name is Jonathan Sembajwe. I'm from Rights of Young Foundation, a youth-led organization in Uganda. My participation was supported by .Kids Foundation. We implement different activities aimed at promoting the rights of children and young people, and among those is online safety for children. We visit schools, communities, and policy makers to ensure that they take part in the provision of internet safety for children and young people. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Octavia Kumala from ISOC chapter in South Africa. And we're basically a new chapter, so we're still trying to find our feet with the whole IGF agendas and issues and challenges. We held our first regional IGF 3 months ago, and getting funding was a bit of a problem, and the only funder we really had was Google. And yeah, so I'm just here to listen and learn from others. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, maybe we can, for the newcomers, we can share about what we're doing today. Because for YCIG, we are a coalition in IGF that we have different kinds of youth organizations and individuals who is interested in engaging youth in IG discussion to join this coalition. And for our mission is mainly like achieving the effective and meaningful youth participation and involvement in IG by having a supporting network to be set up. And we can also even like co-organizing different kinds of youth initiative. And you can see for every year we will get an assembly here to getting all of us getting here to discuss about how we can go further for engaging different kind of people. That's for this this particular meeting. I think we can separate into two different parts. For the first part, we would like to share the youth program from different countries or in different organizations. What kind of good example can be taken and can be shared that we can go back to our own countries and to improve our programs on how we can have a more meaningful and effective youth engagement and youth involvement in IG area. And for the other session, I think for this session will be like we can have a talk about how we can move forward and other next step for the YCIG to achieving the goals of we have just mentioned. So I think for the very first part, I see the hand from Net Mission, and you guys maybe share more about your experience and what the work you are doing. Thank you.
So this is Enoch speaking, and we are high school students from Hong Kong. So we joined this competition that led us to involve and learn more about the internet governance issue. But other than this competition in Hong Kong, there are just forms of lecture and talks at schools arranged by NGOs or governments that is quite in the short term. So it might be able to educate a large scale of students, but the problem is it's not long-term and sustainable at all. So I see a problem here in my country is that there's a trade-off between the quality and the quantity of the education because of the limited resources. And resources have to be allocated correctly. And in the case of Hong Kong, I think it's imbalanced and it's on the quantity side rather than focusing on the quality of education. So I think there are talks and lectures that may look to be effective, but may seem to be effective, but the real case is we don't learn a lot from those events, and that's a waste of money in my opinion.
So maybe let me briefly introduce the NetY Ambassador program, because I think that this program, like as a competition, is a really good starting point to engage youth involvement in internet governance. So basically, this program is to requires the participants to write an essay on any topics about internet governance, and our team wrote about internet rumors. So, and then we were chosen to be the final 5, and then we attend a discussion session to talk about some hot topics like real name systems. And then we were chosen to be the champion, and we were fully subsidized to be here. I think that this is good because as a competition, teenagers can learn more and more deeply and wisely. Like if we attend some tutorial sessions, we're not listening. Or I've listened and then I go out and I forget. So during this competition, really, I feel like I've learned a lot, not only on internet governance issue, but also I've widened my international horizon. So I really think that as a competition is a good starting point. Thank you.
I have a question. I have a lot of questions, actually, but one of them is, would it be helpful to identify and list the barriers to youth participation in IGF? And obviously funding is one, and another one is probably lack of awareness of IGF in everyday life in each country. And I think maybe also a question I have is, where is the best place to learn about how IGF works and what it's for? I've attended, I think this is my 4th, and I'm still a little bit confused about what IGF is all about and where it's going. And I think for some time people thought it would end after 3 years, and now it seems to be continuing. But I remember that NetMission and .Kids wanted to take youth to Beijing to an ICANN meeting and have IGF education part of that experience for youth. And I wonder, maybe this is a question for you, Yanis, if you still believe that an ICANN meeting is a good place to bring youth and adults together to learn about this whole multi-stakeholder process. And if not, maybe you feel it's now the IGF itself, or I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Thanks for the question. I think actually ICANN and IGF serve sort of a different purpose. These are 2 different fora. I'm not sure if the other youth delegations here know what is ICANN. So ICANN is basically, so you know about it? Okay, so I don't have to okay, maybe I can still also explain briefly. So that's the organizations that coordinate on the names and numbers, like the IP addresses and the domain names system of the internet, which is backbone of it. And so they do have this multi-stakeholder structure, and I think what is different is that they really will make policies or decisions about how this DNS will be run, and instead of, I think IGF is sort of a more sharing purpose is for people to come together and share their experience in their countries, and then share the best practices, and then to discuss about issues. Well, although we don't have any authoritative decision-making power within IGF, I still think that it is available forum for young people to get involved. And I think I will say I believe IGF is sort of a first step, because is the issues here is more general, and then is more related to the youth themselves, and so I think it will be actually a good platform for the youth, for the young people to get a sense of what IG is, and that's why actually we initiated that Beijing meeting 2 years ago with the NetMission ambassadors, is that we think it will be time for us to really make some influence in addition to the IGF forum, and then we can really make the youth to participate in the ICANN policy discussions as well. So I think I think IGF is still relevant for sure. And then so actually I think you raise a very good suggestions that probably we can try to identify what is the barriers for the youth participation here on the IG, and then and I think it's important that as a group here, the Youth Coalition, how we can come into play to facilitate or sustain this youth participations, because I think every year it seems that we see some of the different faces in this group as well for this meeting, and you're always coming, so you see every time we sort of have different youth group, but I guess it's important we think about the sustainability problem as well, and how we can keep this youth, maybe you guys sitting here today, and how we can continue to participate in this this IGF, and maybe not just meet annually here, but what we can do along this year until the next IGF. I think that would be also one of the good discussions that we can try to talk about. Do I answer your question, Anne?
Yeah. Is it working? Yeah. So maybe that's sort of a convenient place to gather youth, the ICANN meeting, to gather youth from a number of countries to learn about a number of things, right? So your thinking remains the same, that would be a good way to do it, or are you sort of shifting the focus more to just bringing youth to IGF, as you always have, and continue to train one another in a peer mentoring kind of way at the IGF?
I'm also with Yanis supporting the NetMission program. I'm David. And I think for this question, it's better to be answered by NetMission, because NetMission have initiated a partner with ICANN to organize a next-gen ICANN project. And it's mainly about how we can have different settings to engage more youth on those direct discussion and policy making process in ICANN. So I would make the speaking sequence be like Wilson, and then the gentleman from Netherlands, and the gentleman with blue t-shirt, blue shirt.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, David. My name is Wilson again. I'm from NetMission Ambassadors. So I heard Anne's questions on whether ICANN is a best place, is a good place for youth to participate. So as one of the participants of ICANN 49 in Singapore, we organized a next gen at ICANN by the NetMission Ambassadors. So it's just a small sections in conjunction with the whole ICANN agenda. So we have around 30 participants and then around 10 NetMission ambassadors there. So the composition of the participants is quite interesting. We got participants from Japan, and we have Korea, we have Armenia, we have Hong Kong from the participants, and we also we also have India. So these participants' composition actually comes from what we have done in the past 4 years. We have the Youth Internet Governance Forum in conjunction with our Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum. Every year in those conferences, we engaged the local Asian students, and then after that, we keep their contacts and keep their network, so that whenever we have this kind of next generation at ICANN, we engage those people and students from across Asia and bring it to the policy level to have actual discussions on policies that actually influence the internet. For example, the topic we are talking back in next generation is talking about the internationalized domain name, on how are you going to make the domain name more language friendly for all, with different kinds of language for all peoples, internet users that does not know about English. So that these kind of policy discussions, actually, I think it's more on a momentum base, because if you're not discussing it, then no one cares about it. And if you're, as a youth, if you really want to keep these discussions on your level, you have to constantly participate in ICANN. Like they have 4 ICANNs each year. And then we come to the IGF. I think that this is my first time to IGF. I still know nothing about IGF. But then through these 3 days of participating in the discussions, I attend different kinds of youth workshops, especially the one we conducted last day. I really see a good point is that, which is different from ICANN, is that it is not about momentum, it's about influence. We throw our ideas out there, and then we test our ideas we testify it against different youths from different parts of the world, and see what they think about our ideas from Asia. How do the youth think about the Asian youth idea, and then we can have collaboration on that, and how to bring youth participation to a better level. Because a problem we identified last day in the workshop is that we have a lot of youth participation in IGF. However, our voice never reached to the policy-making level. So how we are actually doing the next generation at ICANN, because that's the place where policy-making happens. And that's where we are going to make our presence, and that's how are we going to make our voice be heard by the policy level. And I think that's why I am so motivated to participate in ICANN, and that's why I think that going to ICANN for youth is a very important point. Thank you.
Thanks, Wilson. And because for the next year ICANN, we would like having some, we separate into different coming meeting. We also host those next year ICANN program. We can also share those information with YCIGs and all the members here. We got the gentleman from Netherlands.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't say anything about the ICANN meeting because I haven't been there. But I wanted to say that I think that one of the problems is also that when you go to the IGF for the first time, it can be quite intimidating. So this is my first IGF, but I went to Eurodig and Arab IGF before, so I knew quite a lot of people already here, and I sort of knew the topics. But I gotta say, when I went to the Arab IGF for the first time in November in Algiers, or October it was, in Algiers, I really felt a bit lost. Like, you're in this big hall, there's a lot of people that all seem to know each other because they have been friends for 10 years already. And then here you are knowing nobody except maybe 1 or 2 people from your own country, while you're there to meet the other people from around the world. And I think that one of the problems is that what happens, because those adults, they always have an organization they work for and they keep working for, so they keep funding them to go here. But with youth, a lot of times it happens that you get like a fellowship for a single time where you go to one of these events, and but actually you need 1 or 2 events to sort of get to grips with the concept, and then you can start to be actually efficient. I'm not sure for who of you this is the first or the second, but I really gotta say I respect how much you've intervened and how much you've said in panels and things. I really well done for that. But I think, I've been very lucky also because I don't want to, but I gotta say, because of the RIPE NCC and the Netherlands IGF, because they've been happy to fund me to go to several events, and I already managed with other organizations to arrange the sponsorship for the next Arab IGF and IGF as well. So I'm very glad to be here a few more times, because I gotta say, when I was in the Arab IGF for the first time, I felt so intimidated by what was happening. And I can say, I know I've been working on the internet. I'm 20 now, but I've been programming since I was 8. So I really know that I know about these topics, but I still was intimidated, and I felt confused when I got there. So even if you know about the technical stuff of the internet, it's just because of the format and the people there, it's hard to be efficient in these sessions when you're there for the first time. So I think we should also try to see how we can make sure that the young people that are coming here, they're not just involved for once or twice, but we can manage to let them keep coming in some way. So yeah, that was basically what I wanted to say.
It's an excellent point. Just really quick follow-up. Sorry. It's really an excellent point, because what I've found myself, it's true for adults as well as youth. It takes the universal reality is it takes at least 2 IGFs to kind of feel comfortable. Adults don't show that, but adults, as you said, have more continuous funding so they can keep coming back. And I think that's a really important thing to note, that young people need more continuity. Net Mission has got it down. You understand that need, and maybe you can communicate that to other youth-serving organizations so that they can bring this continuity, necessary continuity, into the process, and no more one-shot, fellowships. Though they're wonderful and you get diversity that way, it only perpetuates the intimidation factor, I think. So sorry to...
I'd like to address the earlier brought up issue of some of the problems that youth face for coming to an IGF. And from just observing from the different sessions and other stuff during this week, I've had there's 3 main ones that I've seen. It's lack of accessibility, just not being able to come here because there's no funding or something like that. Another one is a lack of respect, or for a better word, a lack of a listener. I mean, for all of these youth panels and everything we've come to, I mean, there's been mainly youth there, but then very few older people that are listening to them. And when someone that is younger comes up to the mic, I mean, I've seen that sometimes they're pushed off to the side, they don't know what they're talking about or something like that. And if there's just a way to just make sure that the youth voice is heard more, because they're speaking, but many people are just not listening. And then another thing, especially that I've seen, is there's a lack of readily accessible education on what exactly internet governance is. I mean, I know there's many people that are I'm an 11th grader, and I know there's many people that are interested in world politics and stuff that affect them, but none of them actually know what internet governance is, or they're not aware that maybe the internet has any rules or anything. And so just if there was more and especially where I live, I've never heard of any type of way to be educated on internet governance. Or I mean, we have great things like Model UN, where you can learn about how to global politics and how to speak in front of people and how to have the right wording, but there's just there's nothing on internet governance, and just that what you do online actually has an effect, and what happens here has a huge effect, can have a huge effect on your daily life. And those are just kind of the 3 things that I've mainly seen while here. So yeah.
Since we are almost running out of time, we want to give, you had a point, you had a point, you had a point, and you had a point. 1 minute each, and be very brief. So let's start here, and then you, and then from South Africa, and then from Net Mission. And then we'll go now into best approaches to take and what you think the YCIG, what is your space? We just into that, like briefly. Then we think about youth and this IGF renewal mandate, whether it's going to be renewed, permanent, 5 years, whether it's not going to be renewed, and how youth can continue this, not only here at the international IGF, but also the national internet governance processes, the regional processes. So I want you to think about that as they speak. Please make it very, very short. Even if it's a few seconds, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Jonathan. I'm going to talk about the barrier of youth involvement in IGF as it was raised by the madam here. Many organizations, especially the private sector and other organizations, have not yet realized the need for youth participation and younger people participation in the internet governance and other issues. So I think we should find more ways of involving, of letting different organizations know that really youth should be involved. Remember, youth are the highest users of internet all over the world. Another thing, on the aspect of the development of the low developing countries, when you look at the low developing countries, many youth are not using internet for productive work, for developmental activities. They use it to pass time, for leisure and such stuff. So we also need to encourage young people to use internet for productivity. This will automatically bring them to internet governance. Another thing, parents and teachers do not know what their children do on internet. So when they don't know what their young people do, they cannot support them. So we should also bring them on board to know what these young people do so that they can support them. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so for this part, I see as the biggest question, where do you learn about IGF? And I wanted to give an example again of myself and Nathan, who just came here, and well, like before the NL IGF, we didn't know anything about IGF or internet governance at all. But we had like a very good education by just going to the NL IGF and listening, and just there was like an environment of you can ask everything and everyone will just answer your questions and don't say you're strange or you don't know what you're talking about. And then when we came here, we had like the help of, well, like our delegation is of 35 members or something, and are like 3 or 4 or 5 who are very open and want to explain to you what's the history of the Dutch delegation. So I think it's very important that each country has its own IGF where you can go and like see what it is or what it is about, and you see, well, like get a taste of this is something for you or not. And when and then again, the best learning school is being here. And I really agree with the point of not being with not being once but going twice or 3 times, because now I think on Friday I got a hang of it, and maybe next year we can do more. And the last point I wanted to make is that actually only yesterday we met with all the young people here and saw each other, and before that I maybe saw 3 or 4 faces, but that was it. So it's really important that the really practical and small thing you can do is just organize on Monday a meeting for all young people and see each other's faces, so that you have someone to talk to and someone to team up with to step to people you want to talk with who are older, and also grab new people by the hand and well say let's go here or let's go there.
I just wanted to mention to learn more about the IG issues. I don't know if you've heard of the Diplo Foundation. They do a lot of good work. I'm actually part of a 9-week course now about introduction to internet governance, and especially from an African perspective. So people like the Diplo Foundation maybe you should check them out.
Hello, Wilson here speaking. Before I just make a quick comment on a few of the comments from the floor. But as for I agree with you guys, youth, that coming to the first IGF is intimidating.
because I know nothing about IGF, and then I saw this a lot of workshop and a lot of work, a lot of reports, a lot of links, and I don't know what's happening. So it's really a very good thing to have a IGF 101 information kit or survivor kit for that, and that's what we do in the Youth Internet Governance Forum back in this August in Delhi. But another thing is that when I come to this workshop, come to the IGF, I saw this Youth Coalition on Internet Governance, and it seems like a very important thing in the IGF. They have this workshop, they have this strategic discussion on how youth involvement in this IG can be done. However, then I go on to their website. Okay, I see some funny stuff. We are the year of 2014, and then the information is somewhere in 2012 or 2010. I don't know what's happening about the works. I don't know what's happening about the website, and I saw the chairman should be Rafiq, right? And I don't think he is Rafiq, right? So I was having this interesting thoughts about what's happening today, because we have a lot of participation yesterday, and we see this right now. So my question to the panel and to all of you here, it's what's happening on YCIG and what can be done, because young people, youth participation, to facilitate the youth participation, we really need a hand to give a hand on that, and perhaps the YCIG panel can take the lead in providing first steppers information to the youth. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you. Let's move very fast. I'll answer some of those questions. About the website, you find the website is, yes, it's very outdated. The information here is 2012, 2011, 2010. And this is because the Youth Coalition, as I pointed out, is something that the Dynamic Coalition on youth, it's a dynamic coalition in the IGF. It's been there since around 5 years ago. And the people who are there right now are playing other roles in different spaces in the internet governance discussions. And they set a charter which had a limit on the age of people who are supposed to be here. They said that in the charter, it's for people under 30 years old. So you find that most of them went beyond 30, and now they didn't have people to hand this over to. So that's when we had this discussion and tried to reach out to the MAG for the IGF for them to give us a session this year, because it's not been very consistent, because not very many people have been reaching out for them to have a session here. So it's not that this is an interim committee, like young people. We met in Singapore in March, and we started thinking about how can we re-energize this, and we met again in London, and we have had a few Skype calls and just talking about there's a space, and we need to make sure that young people are brought on board. So yeah, we are an interim committee, and I think we should, one of the action plans that I think we should do as part of the strategic planning, the first thing that we should do, I'm sure most of you have been writing your contacts down. We want, if possible, to reach out to you later so that you can have online elections. And this will take, maybe we'll have regional representations from different regions. And then something else that a remote participant actually has emailed would be, if somebody would suggest that they'd start preparing a best practices paper and forum for the next year's IGF on how to enable and improve youth participation in internet governance. The person is Juha Leinonen from Finland, is a participant of the New Media Summer School in 2014 and a pre-event of the Eurodig 2014 in Berlin. So this is what Juha continues to say. I followed 2 best practices sessions and they seemed very fruitful. Perhaps, as someone mentioned in the wrap-up session, that they are the first real tangible thing that the IGF produces. So maybe a BPF on youth participation will create something real. Thanks. So those are some of the things you need to start thinking about. Like, you've heard about the BPF of on online child protection, a BPF on improvement of the IGF. So you need to start thinking about preparing like a document and talking to the MAG about a BPF on youth and such kind of ideas. So yes, that's where we are right now. We have around 10 minutes to wrap up and just talk about the goals. What do you think the YCIG should do? I've brought forward some ideas. Then just to bring to your attention, there is a call by dynamic coalitions, different dynamic coalitions, for them to ensure that these are the call to the IGF, that the role of the dynamic coalitions in main sessions and program development, and then program development, that we should have more role, the dynamic coalition in the program development, then more defined roles and responsibilities for dynamic coalition in producing outcomes of the IGF, then clearer processes for the MAG to consult dynamic coalitions for expertise in their focus and incorporation of the dynamic coalition into the WCIS plus 10 review, then support financial and human resource for the dynamic coalitions work between IGF meetings. This is a call by dynamic coalitions, the net neutrality and other dynamic coalitions. They want us to support this call because they're going to make this statement to the IGF, and I think it's something we can support, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just briefly, what is the next step? I've talked about elections, about a BPF, about the charter. Like, can you set up a working group here to look at the charter to see if it's relevant? Those are some of the things that we need to think about in this planning, and then we can discuss more online. We don't need to do everything physically. We are a digital generation. So you, then you, and I'd love if you can speak very briefly, please. Just make it 1 minute, because you have 10 minutes.
I have something very practical. What would be my advice maybe to people here in the room that say like, okay, I want to attend next time as well, and I don't know how to get funding, or I don't know how to do it. The thing I did, and the reason why I went to 3 events already and I had almost no trouble finding sponsors, the reason for that is that I tried to just propose for workshops, make sure that I'm on panels, because what I noticed is that if you organize a workshop there at an event, or if you are on 2 or 3 panels maybe, and it's really easy to get onto that, then it's so much easier to go to a company or an organization and say, you know what, I'm going to have so much exposure at this meeting, I'm going to be at this and this and this panel, I'm organizing this workshop, and then it's easier to get sponsorship, because it's, well, there's more benefit for the sponsor if you can just like, you know, if you're in 1 or 2 sessions and you can maybe mention them, or at least people will know that you're from that organization. So that's not something that maybe the coalition should do, but it's just something for people in the room and other people to just go write a proposal or email people that are organizing other panels. So that would be my advice.
I just wanted to ask a question. You said the Youth Coalition is for people who are younger than 25.
Under 30.
30, so
under 30.
Some of us are over 30, so what happens then?
Now, you come in as an advisory role. Yeah, so like she's doing really awesome work with youth, and she's one of the people who would love to continue advise us, because young people don't know everything clearly. He's also doing great work at the ITU, and yeah, we need them to advise us and all that.
Just need to communicate that to adults, say that you're welcome, because they don't know that they can come. I didn't know, but I just came. So, because I love you all. So, but just let us know that adults are welcome, but don't talk too much. Like me.
Well, just one thing is just like if there could have been something like this session at the beginning of this IGF, just so that like all the people here could see that there are other people that they can talk to, people they can interact with, just like people of their same age, and just, I mean, it's great to have this at the end, but if this was also at the beginning so that we could start getting all of these people together, and they could maybe actually, they'll have a stronger voice if they know that there are other people that will support them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And to add to that, like when we got an email from our organization where you're going, and these are like the program and our Dutch program, there should be like a file or a best practice paper from one paper that's just says, well, go to this meeting, the first meeting, meet to this people, and like 3 or 4 things like this maybe beforehand, how you get funding. No, should be just written down in a very small document that you can read.
Like a youth briefing.
Yeah, like a youth briefing, indeed. And for the rest, I think that for next IGF it would be cool, and also to have more youth participation in sessions, and get things a bit more speeding up, that you could try to get the MAC to get on some sessions a co-moderator who's below 25, and well, can also think about giving youth a voice in different sessions that are not particularly about youth, but where the youth voice is very important to be heard.
I'm also thinking of approaching the organizers of the entire IGF to get at least some little minutes for the youth, for one youth representative in the opening ceremony, the grand ceremony, like the one we had last time when we got government officials and representatives from the UN, at least to give the youth, even if 5 minutes or 2 minutes, to also talk in that big opening ceremony. I think it will make the youth feel part and partial of the IGF. Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to. Oh no, I just really feel that we have some brilliant ideas, especially about to try to get more young people on a panel, which we always talk about. And I think, actually, I have a suggestion. I think the YCIG could serve as a platform that maybe we can include. I mean, to ask people who are coming in before the event, and then we sort of list out a list of young people that comment and the topics of interest, and then wait beforehand, and then we can try to reach out to different panels and tell them, hey, we have these young people, and please try to include them in your panel as well. And so I guess as such, I think the website is also one of the problem that I think we should try to get better on the mailing list, as well as, because actually we opened a Facebook group recently. I think everyone here, please do join, and then and I think we can have better communication, and also maybe have some information sharing on our website, and then we can try to really build a platform, and then try to have some more to make sure our youth is better prepared and informed before this event, and then sort of to maximize, I mean, our impact and within this IGF forum.
How do I find the Facebook group?
And thanks for all your brilliant ideas. And maybe I just got some wrap-ups on those action items we can do for next year. We got some brilliant ideas from the gentleman there. We probably could have some PE event to engage more youth at the very first beginning of the IGF. Then we can meet each other. Like we can have some drinks, or even have some informal social events, or even we can organize a PE event workshop for those capacity building workshops. It can be done, and we're planning to do it in the next year. And the other things will be like the information kit, and maybe like also like the youth briefing. For the YCIGs, that we can have those ideas and both briefing information on IGF, what will be to share with the YCIG members. And also for the website, I think it's very good point to have some reconstruction on this, that we can have all the information about the info kit, or even like the PE event details, and also the statement things to be put it online. And for the workshop, we probably we have organizing one this year, which is the workshop 173. We think this is very important point you guys have made, that workshop is important to getting more youth be involved in the discussion. Then we are also planning to do this in the future. And also for the statement things, because Ethan has just mentioned about a statement, and it will be popular about maybe, yeah. I would like to all of you guys to think about, do you guys will support this kind of this statement, and see if we can move this to the next step. And may Ethan have a briefly introduce more about the statement, and we got everyone to have some suggestion on this.
Before that, just Boniface can say something for just seconds, 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. I've had brilliant ideas from all of you, and all I can say from an advisory point of view is that this conversation should not just end here or online, wherever you're planning to be participating in the meetings. We need all of us, we need to keep talking to our friends, friend of a friend, friend of a friend. So in the policy of each one, teach one. So because these are the only tenets that can foster youth participation, inclusion, advocacy, and capacity building. Thank you.
Yes.
Just a question about procedure. Everybody uses different social media, right? So could you identify the #1 central place where everybody can go? Is that the Facebook group? And if so, is it Facebook / Youth Coalition, or just tell us?
It's the Facebook group. I think if you've not noted down your email, you just note it down, and then we're going to send to you the link. Then we just want to wrap up. It's 10:30. This session was to end at 10:30. So this is the statement which other dynamic coalitions would like us to endorse, and they are going to read this and take this to the IGF, the main, the MAG. So it's about how dynamic coalitions, their role within the IGF. So they want a role of the dynamic coalition voices in the main sessions and program development of the IGF meeting. 2, they want more defined roles and responsibilities for dynamic coalitions in producing outcomes. Then they want clearer processes for the MAG to consult dynamic coalitions for expertise in their focus areas and incorporation of the dynamic coalitions work into the WCIG +10 review. This is the IGF renewal and all that kind of the mandates. Then 4, they want support for financial and human resources for dynamic coalitions work between IGF meetings. So this is a statement which has just been sent like 5 minutes ago. Not 5 minutes, like 30 minutes ago. So if I don't know if there's anybody who would like to oppose that statement or thinks this is not a good thing, can raise their voice. I think it's a good thing from a personal point of view. I think we should, as youth, we should support this as the dynamic coalition. As one thing that I think should come out of here is we should think about the youth charter. I would like people to volunteer, if possible, for a working group to look at the YCIG charter from various regions. If you are interested, I'd like you to volunteer, and then we're going to work online on that. Then just look at it. Then something else that I was thinking about is about the elections. From here, we can do an online elections, various regions. So let's, I don't know, who has points on that? The statement, elections, the youth charter, looking at it. If we need to extend the age from 30 to, let's say, 40 or 50, because there are not so many young people here, we can increase the young age bracket. Okay, something else, the BPF, the Best Practices Forum. Let's think about that, just on those points, then we wrap up.
What's your idea about an election? I don't recall.
Pardon?
Can you explain the election further? What you said about some
elections? I was just thinking, if possible, we can have representatives from various regions, like Asia, Europe, Africa, Latin America, North America, and then we have global representatives. The way the GNSO Council and other spaces are organized, but that is subject to the YCIG charter. We'll have to look at it because there's clear procedures on that in the YCIG charter.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, I think the first step probably is to have volunteers for the working group, and then we can probably make out discussions further onwards in the mailing list or within the Facebook group.
So we have a mailing list, Google group, and go to ycig.org. Then you'll see a link there to subscribe to the mailing list. Somewhere on the, this is my right, yeah, on the right, and then yeah, you will subscribe, and then from there we can take the discussion online, because I want, if possible, I don't know, if you are interested to be on the working group, I'd really love you. Just state your name so that for the record, if you're interested, you can just, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Pardon?
Yes.
Okay. You can take a mic and just state your name for the record, for the transcript purposes, and those who are following remotely.
Octavia Kumalo. I'd be interested if I make the cut.
Yes, no problem. Your name and your country, if possible.
I'm interested. Jonathan Sembajwe from Uganda.
Who else is interested?
If adult advisors are allowed, Ann Collier from connectsafely.org in the United States. I'd be happy to participate.
Okay.
I would sure be happy as well. Tel Klerks, THIJLKLERKX. From the Netherlands, sorry about my difficult name. I would be happy to join.
Yes, Pim Tentije, THEGE, also from the Netherlands.
Yes, Nathan Bierman, a little bit easier. Nathan and Bierman, it's like beer man. And Netherlands.
We are interested too. Sharolina Villalta, SHAROLINA Villalta, from Guatemala, in America.
Anybody?
Yes.
Here I am again.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Man. My name's Wilson, WILSONLAM. I'm interested, yeah, thank you.
I have to state my name as well. Yeah, Yanis Lee from Hong Kong as well.
Ephraim Kenyanito from Kenya, interested too.
David from Hong Kong.
We'll hear from David, and then Yanis will wrap up the session. And thanks for coming, thanks for sparing your time. And if you volunteered for the working group, I'd like you to register on a separate mailing list, like here, if possible, then we can get in touch more online. So I'd love you can pass this around, and for those who volunteered, please fill your name, your country or region, and your email address so that you can keep in touch online. And then we hear from David, and then Yanis will wrap up the session. And thank you so much, guys, for coming. Really appreciate it.
I think actually is okay. I think Ephraim, you did a good wrap-up job. I think we just have to work hard and work on offline.